What's up guys, Rogue9 here, and in this video I want to discuss the operator balancing changes that are coming to Rainbow Six Siege with Operation Shifting Tides. The volatile phase of the test server is over, and I think it's safe now to look at these changes without any of them getting dropped or modified anymore, because that's always the trade-off, right? I could smash out a video as soon as the test server drops and get the info out as soon as possible, but then that runs the risk of certain changes not making it into the game, and then I'd just be causing confusion rather than providing useful info, so I will always prefer to stay a bit more cautious. That said, I think the time has now come to discuss Shifting Tides, and there is in fact so much to talk about that I will be splitting the analysis into 3 different videos: operator balancing, gameplay changes, and gun balancing, starting off with the operators. Check out the pinned comment below for timestamps, and with that, let's finally get going. With the latest update to Siege, Glaz is buffed significantly with an update to his banana vision, and boy is this a good one. I've mentioned in the past that I consider Glaz to be a bit of a knife-edge character. Only a few seasons ago his ability to see through smoke was meta-defining, and Glaz was consistently pretty strong. Then came the big nerf with Operation Phantom Sight that forced Glaz to stand still for his smoke vision to charge up. He essentially went from a must-pick to a near-useless operator overnight, and ever since then the devs have been gradually rebuffing him bit by bit to bring him back to an acceptable power level. And up until now, those changes were kind of like drops in the ocean. Sure, he became better, but not nearly enough to make him viable in a truly competitive match. This update though changes all of that. As you can see with Operation Shifting Tides, Glaz now has a very bright and visible yellow overlay for enemies even when the meter on his scope is completely depleted. When looking through smoke though, the empty state is not nearly as effective, but even with no charge at all you can still see the enemies just a tiny bit. Combining this far more forgiving overlay system with the slower charge depletion and the faster fire rate updates that came before, and it looks now as if we might be back to the good old days. At least for Glaz mains. It feels like the usability nerf from Phantom Sight has been almost entirely reversed, and the way the scope works now makes it actually possible for a skilled Glaz player to use him effectively again. Will this tip Glaz too far again in terms of power balance? In my opinion, it definitely feels as if this might take him too far over again, but hey, maybe that will at least give Warden some validity, and who knows, maybe the two will actually balance each other out by some miracle. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the final outcome will be, but if you used to enjoy playing Glaz, all I can say is definitely give him a go. You might well find that he's pretty usable again now. What are your thoughts on this buff? Let me know in the poll in the top right hand corner now. Kaid is also getting a bit of a buff with increased range on his Electro Claw area of effect, which is going up from 0.75 to 1.3 meters, and he is handing in his impact grenades and drawing some shiny new barbed wire from the Team Rainbow armory. Or maybe I should say shiny old barbed wire, because he only just lost that recently. It never made any sense to me why Kaid, whose main gadget has such a great synergy with the wire, should lose access in the first place, but hey, it's back, so who cares? The increased claw range will allow him to electrify up to 3 walls at once, and that goes for side-by-side or 90-degree angle arrangements. The deploy time stays the same as you can see, and that means that overall, Kaid will now simply get more bang for his buck on each claw, and this should go some way towards pushing up his utility a bit. This, combined with the recent Org A3 buff, will make him far more competitive as an alternative or supplement to good old Bandit. Kaid didn't quite live up to the expectations when he was released, but the consecutive buffs have now finally raised him to a point where I'm starting to like him a lot. It might have taken a year, but hooray, Kaid has finally arrived. You know the drill, a poll for your thoughts is available now. Warden is also being changed? A tiny bit? He's basically losing his barbed wire and gaining a nitro cell, which is supposed to make him a more powerful anchor and plant denier. I mean, sure, C4 is great and all, but if you want to bring an operator to deny the plant with explosives, then why not bring one that can also add something to the team with a useful main gadget? The whole argument of Warden now being able to act without exposing himself completely contradicts the nature of his main gadget. He is supposed to withstand flashes and smokes in order to be able to expose himself at the right time and counter the push. If using C4 from cover is the play, then literally any other defender who owns a nitrocell can do this and be more valuable to the team with other abilities at the same time. I think Warden may need some more love in future here. The Jackal update has been discussed to death already by now, but there are some aspects that are not properly elaborated on in the patch notes. So let me skip over the basics relatively quickly before going into more detail on the new Caveira interaction. The number of pings Jackal gets now are dependent on the age of the footprints, which will be evident to you by their color and the format of the highlighting ring around the print you're scanning. When you scan now, all footprints of that specific enemy disappear, so you will have to make a choice between following the prints or scanning for pings, but of course, new prints left after the scan will be scannable again. Finally, Jackal will no longer be able to see or scan footprints from below after opening up the ceiling. So that should be clear, right? Interestingly, the patch notes also mention an improved interaction with Caveira's silent step ability, but they don't really explain what that means. So I did some digging around in the game, and actually this is a really neat little update and fix. Pre-patch, if you're playing as Jackal and scan Caveira, one of two things could happen if she activated her silent step ability. If you scanned her and she activated her ability afterwards, she would avoid getting pinged, but the countdown timer for both Jackal and Caveira would look exactly the same, i.e. blue or red. If, on the other hand, Cav already happened to be in silent step exactly when the scan completed, the entire scan would just fail, and you would have basically wasted one of Jackal's charges. The new system addresses both of these possibilities. Firstly, when Cav manages to avoid getting pinged by activating her ability after getting scanned, the timer is grayed out for both operators, which then makes it clear that the pings are failing due to Cav's super sneakiness. But even better than this, if Cav just happens to be sneaking at the time of getting her print scanned, the scan will no longer fail. It will just start out in the grayed out state, indicating that she is hiding, but offering the possibility of one of the other pings still working in future. That's quite cool, and I think an important fix before this overall nerf goes live. Imagine scanning prints, seeing them all disappear, and then getting no payoff at all because Cav just happened to be silent stepping right at that moment. It would kind of suck, so seeing this fixed is great. Here's something that wasn't in the patch notes and is probably a minor bug. Nokk's ADS time when using her cloaking ability will now be shorter compared to not using her ability. As you can see in my test footage from before the new patch, the time with the FMG9 used to be consistently between 216 and 233 milliseconds, irrespective of her ability being active or not, and this made complete sense because the FMG9 is supposed to have an ADS time of 220 milliseconds, which falls exactly between 2 frames when recording at 60 FPS. Thanks to some helpful hints from fans, many thanks for reaching out guys, I also tested this in the TS build, and as you can see, when Nokk is using her ability now, her ADS time is reduced to around 183 milliseconds, so over 17% faster than it used to be. I don't know what could have caused this, it definitely doesn't feel like an intentional change, and if it's a bug, well then I wonder what other guns or operators have been affected as well. Have you noticed anything off for other operators' ADS times? Share a comment below. And last and definitely also least, the voice actors for Hibana and Mira are being changed. Ubisoft is planning to put out more lore-style content in future, and just like Angela Bassett being swapped out of the role of Six, I suspect that Hibana and Mira being replaced is down to a cost-saving measure. Using higher-profile actors for voiceovers is cool and all, but I can understand how things could become really expensive once you start putting together more cutscenes, voiceovers, or even motion capture sessions for animated short films. So either Jamie Choi, who previously played Hibana, and Christine Solomon, who played Mira, are just too busy to commit to future Rainbow Six engagements, or they are simply too expensive. Although, this swap might also give us a hint at the next short film we might be getting. The first one focused on Thatcher and Dokkaebi, maybe the next one will be a Mira and Hibana special. Although Mira definitely makes sense in general, since voiceovers from her have become a significant part of the gadget reveal teasers each season. But yeah, no real impact on gameplay here, and it is almost certainly just down to commitments or cost. And those are the operator balancing updates and changes of Operation Shifting Tides. Do let me know your thoughts on the changes in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next episode.
I just want your love.